What is up, guys? My name is Cameron Gallagher, and today we're talking about how to control your camera with a Bluetooth app. So let's get into it. So I happened to see an article online that was talking about the control system for the BlackMagic Ursa Mini Pro. And basically what it was saying is that you can actually use an app to control the camera. Now, I didn't know this, but turns out that BlackMagic has this built into the Pocket 4K and 6K, as well as the Ursa Mini Pro series. So I was really interested to see what kind of control units are out there and sort of what you can do with these controlling apps. Now, right now I am talking about everything on the iPhone. I'm really not 100% sure about anything on Android for right now. So again, I'm just talking iPhone and the iPad and the Apple Watch. So searching on the App Store, one of the first apps that I found was actually called BlueTooth Plus, which I know is a super generic name. But basically this app was, I think, $5.99 and is a full control system for any BlackMagic camera. So I actually did purchase this with my own money. I have nothing to do with this company at all. I know nothing about it. I just bought it because I wanted to try it myself and see if it worked. And I have been very, very impressed with what we can do with this thing. So right off the bat, one of the first things you're gonna have to do is actually go into your camera and immediately connect it for the first time. And this allows the phone and your device and the camera to connect for the first time and make sure they know each other's sort of, which one's which. So that way in the future, when you do connect, it's just a simple connect to camera, boom, you're connected. And that's one of the things that I really love about this is something like the GH5, you had to set up a new connection every single time. It was really annoying and it took forever. Where with this, I connect it one time, my camera is set up, and from then on, I can just open the app, connect to the camera, and instantly I am already in all the settings. So the user interface is set up really nice. In the top left corner, you have your battery percentage. Of course, you have each page you go through, which has different settings. And then on the left-hand side, you have all your quick actions. Bottom left, you have your record button, and in the center, you actually have your CF cards as well as your time code. And in the bottom right, you have your slate, which we'll talk about in a minute. So on the first page, we have a lot of the white balance things. So actually you can go in and change your white balance. So you could of course change that. Now, if you're in RAW, you can change that later anyway, but again, it's very nice to be able to control this manually right here. So on the second page, you actually have your things like frame rate, your iris, your shutter speed, and your ISO. So again, you can go in and you can change any of these different settings. Now the iris of course only works with a EF lens that is compatible. So you have to have an EF lens that has the actual connections that it can make. One of the nice things, you can actually toggle the off-screen recording. So for instance, you want to go into a higher frame rate, you can easily just toggle that right here, and again, not have to actually touch your camera. So on the next page, and this one is very interesting, this is actually the focus page. So this is not something that you're going to want to use when it comes to actually pulling focus, like for a shot, replacing a wireless follow focus. This is not the type of thing. But for something like this, where I'm just sitting in front of the camera and I usually have to manually reach forward and reach back and sort of figure out where my focus is, I can sit here and I can actually just adjust that focus right here on the actual app, which is really nice. You can just adjust forward, adjust backwards, and again, it's just changing that. Now again, this is only for EF lenses that use those, that have the proper support and the proper electronic stuff built in. Obviously, you can't use a manual lens, so that's not gonna work. So as long as you understand that, this thing can be really handy for actually pulling some focus. So the next thing is a lot of monitoring tools, so things like frame guides, aspect ratios, grids, and of course the actual focus peaking. So we have all of those tools right there that we can toggle on and off again, or change on the fly. And then on the last page is actually the codec changing, so we can actually change the codec and the frame rate and all that kind of stuff right from that last part. Now, one thing I will say is that I have noticed it doesn't seem to work perfectly. So I have noticed that when you change it, it doesn't seem to reboot the camera. Because for instance, when you change from BlackMagic RAW to ProRes or ProRes back to BlackMagic RAW, typically the camera has to reboot itself. In this app, I'm not seeing it do that, so I'm not 100% sure how that's working. So I wouldn't really trust that. I would probably say go in, set your codec, set that stuff first, and then just use the app for more of the little nitty-gritty control. Now, of course, at the bottom, you can see the cards. You can see the cards that you're actually recording to, and of course, you have the bottom left record button. So this is one of the biggest things about this app, of course, is just the simple fact that you can record without having to actually touch the camera. Now you might be asking, well, where would this actually come in handy? And I think there's actually a lot of times where this type of workflow can really work. One of the biggest ones and one of the most obvious ones is when you're using some type of rig where you actually can't be physically touching the camera. So for instance, if you had a camera on a jib or on a gimbal or something where you really can't touch the camera, being able to control the settings right here, even some focus, and of course start and stop the camera is going to be incredibly useful because again, you can easily just do this right from your device and not have to actually go touch the camera. And if you're on larger shoots where you're on maybe a 30-foot techno jib or something, obviously getting that camera there and back is a lot of time and energy that can easily be changed or be altered by just using it on the app. Now, in more of a simpler sort of workflow is just the basic use of having to go over over and touch the camera. A lot of what I do is me speaking to the camera on YouTube. So for instance, to have to go back and forth changing things to see the settings or see my exposure or even check focus is kind of annoying, and it just adds that much more time and that much more less time that I have to actually put towards the content. So again, by having this app, I can easily control these while I'm sitting right here, looking right at my monitor, and I can sort of figure out everything without having to go back and forth and just change those. One of the great things too is actually it has the Apple Watch support for starting and stopping of recording. So one thing is maybe you actually have your phone and someone's using the phone for the Slate, which we'll talk about in a second, and then you can actually have someone else on an Apple Watch paired to that could be starting and stopping the camera. So again, being able to do that from any type of device is really, really key, and I think it just makes for an incredible workflow. Now, of course, it has the iPad support, and it's pretty much the same thing as the actual iPhone one. So the last thing I want to talk about is actually the Slate feature, and this thing is really awesome. I actually haven't dived into this too much myself to try it, but this is huge because what it allows you to do is actually manipulate a lot of the metadata built into the actual camera. So metadata is baked into the actual file, and it has a lot of details about the camera or maybe the settings or even some other extra stuff that's built in. One of the things about metadata that would be really nice is the ability to go through something like a shot list or a storyboard where you have an exact shot number, and of course it's like, you know, shot 1.1 and it's a medium shot and it's a medium close-up and it's exterior, stuff like that. The great thing about metadata is it allows to carry that information over to the editor who obviously wasn't there to shoot this and is looking off a shot list or a script in order to actually create the project or whatever it may be. So the Slate feature on this app allows you to control all of these things right from the phone. And this is incredibly quick, which allows it to be much faster where the camera department isn't having to worry about these, but something like a supervisor or a producer could be doing all of these, or maybe a second AD or something, could be slating these as this is going on. So you see that you can of course change the reel number, the scene number, the take number. Of course you have all of your shots, like a wide shot, a medium shot, a close-up shot. You also have an extra settings where things like a VFX shot or something like that. You have interior, exterior, day for night. And then you also have a good take the last clip. So what that means is, let's say you go through, you do several different takes, and let's say the last one was really good, you can select good for that, and then that way during the metadata process, the editor can see which takes were selected as good. So this way the editor knows, okay, these two takes were good, maybe these ones weren't as good. Or maybe there's a technical issue so it wasn't marked a good take. But again, this type of control right from an app can have somebody sitting doing this while the rest of the production is worrying about the actual production itself. And I think that's huge when it comes to using these cameras on set. It makes something like an Ursa Mini Pro G2 or even a Pocket 4K and 6K camera such a higher end camera workflow because again, you have a professional product, a great looking camera, but now can be controlled to a much greater degree so it can be used in a bigger capacity, whether it's on, again, huge techno jibs or huge rigs or on a really high-end set where these types of things are very, very important. So anyway guys, I'm gonna leave a link down below to the app. Again, I have nothing to do with this app. I'm not affiliated whatsoever. I don't know the company that does anything with it. I've just been very impressed and it's been really awesome to use. So anyway guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.